You feel the cold steel first, not the pain, just pressure. Then the wet heat floods down your thigh as blood surges out in thick, rhythmic pulses. The man across from you is breathing hard, eyes wide with something between hunger and reverence. The kitchen light flickers off the blade. Garlic and sizzling fat fill the air. Your own flesh is in the pan now, curling at the edges like cheap steak. This isn't a nightmare. This happened. His name was Armin Meiwes. Polite, soft-spoken, the kind of neighbor who waves when you pass on a quiet German country road. In the sleepy village of Wustfeld, near Rodenburg, people knew him as the quiet computer guy who lived alone in the big half-timbered farmhouse after his mother died. No one suspected the basement held a slaughter room. No one imagined the freezer beside the frozen pizzas contained carefully labeled human meat. But on March 9, 2001, a man named Bernd-Jürgen Brandes walked through that door willingly. He wanted what was coming, and what came was worse than anyone could have prepared for. You're Bernd now, a successful engineer from Berlin. The quiet, gnawing desire to be consumed, to disappear into someone else, to finally matter in the most absolute way. Online forums whispered about men like Armin, men who didn't just fantasize, men who would follow through. The emails had been strangely tender. Armin was patient, detailed, almost romantic in his descriptions of what it would feel like. You told him your conditions. He agreed to everything. Castration first, shared. Then, the end. You packed light. Told your partner you were going on a work trip. The train ride to Kassel felt electric dread and relief twisting together in your stomach. When you step off at the station, he's waiting. Tallish, unremarkable, with calm blue eyes. He smiles like an old friend. The drive to the farmhouse is quiet. Snow. Dusted fields slide past the windows. Inside the house, the air is warm, slightly musty. Wood creaks under your feet. He shows you around casually, the kitchen, the living room, before leading you upstairs. You both undress. The sex is awkward but intense. Two lonely men chasing something words could never capture. Afterward, he sets up the camera. You swallow 20 sleeping pills, chase them with half a bottle of schnapps and cough syrup. The room tilts. Your heart slows. You lie back on the bed and nod. Do it. He tries to bite it off first, like you asked. The pain is dull at first through the haze of drugs, then sharp and nauseating. It doesn't work. He fetches a sharper knife. The cut is clinical, almost gentle. Blood sprays across the sheets in hot arcs. You watch him wrap the wound, hear yourself cry out, not from agony as much as disappointment that it doesn't feel profound enough. You wanted transcendence. This feels messy. He carries the severed piece to the kitchen. You can smell it from the bedroom, salt, pepper, garlic, a splash of wine. The sizzle is sickeningly normal. When he brings it back, you try a piece raw. It's rubbery, chewy, impossible. He's burned the rest trying to make it edible. What's left goes to the dog. Disappointment hangs thick between you. You're bleeding heavily now. The drugs pull you under in waves. He runs you a bath. Warm water turns pink fast. You drift. He checks on you every 15 minutes. Sometimes reading a Star Trek novel in the next room, like it's any other quiet evening. The house is silent, except for the drip of water and your own shallow breathing. Hours crawl by. The blood keeps coming. You're not dead yet when he carries you downstairs to the slaughter room. The table is ready. The camera is rolling. He hesitates for a long time, prays, kisses you on the mouth. Then, the big kitchen knife goes into your throat. The last thing you feel is relief. Armin Meiwes hung the body on a meat hook. Just like in the diagrams he'd studied, he worked methodically, skinning, gutting, portioning, the sound of the knife through flesh, the wet slap of meat hitting plastic wrap. He labeled everything: steaks, roasts, organs. Some pieces went straight into the freezer, hidden under pizza boxes. Bones and remains were buried in the garden. The skull stayed for a while. Over the next 10 months, he ate about 20 kilograms of you. He cooked your flesh with olive oil, garlic, pepper, nutmeg, served it with princess potatoes and Brussels sprouts on his best dinnerware, candles lit, a good bottle of South African red wine breathing beside the plate. He said the meat tasted like pork, but stronger, more substantial. With every bite, he claimed, he felt closer to you. If you're as disturbed as I am by how ordinary this sounds, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're going deeper into stories most channels won't touch. Armin wasn't born a monster. He grew up in a fractured home. His father left early. His mother was domineering, controlling. After she died in 1999, the emptiness swallowed him. He had fantasized about cannibalism since adolescence. The ultimate merging, the fantasy of never being alone again. He posted ads online, Looking for a young, well-built man who wants to be eaten, hundreds responded. Most backed out. Bernd didn't. The two men spent weeks planning. Bernd even suggested his skull could become an ashtray. They documented every detail on video. Hours of it. Police who later watched parts of the tape described scenes that turned veteran officers' stomachs. When authorities finally raided the farmhouse in December 2002, tipped off by another online user who grew suspicious of Armin's new ads, they found the evidence. Frozen packages, recipes for human dishes, penis in red wine, breaded liver, notes on butchering techniques. Armin confessed immediately. He showed no remorse in the way you might expect. He spoke calmly, almost proudly, about achieving his life's dream. The trials that followed were surreal. Germany had no specific law against cannibalism. The first court convicted him of manslaughter. 8.5 years. Arguing Bernd had consented. Public outrage forced a retrial. In 2006, he was convicted of murder for sexual gratification. But the real horror isn't just the act. It's the banality. The polite emails. The shared meal. The man reading Star Trek while his victim bled out in the tub. Two profoundly damaged people finding each other in the darkest corner of the internet and turning fantasy into flesh. Armin Meiwes is still in prison. He's become a vegetarian, reportedly. He gives occasional interviews, calm and articulate, describing the night like a particularly memorable dinner party. Bernd J. Argen Brandes remains a ghost, reduced to steaks and memories and courtroom exhibits. You close the video. The room feels colder than it did 5 minutes ago. Your own kitchen smells of whatever you cooked for dinner. Normal. Safe. But somewhere out there, right now, someone is typing into a forum. Someone else is reading. The line between fantasy and reality is thinner than we like to admit. Not because monsters hide in shadows, but because sometimes they answer the door with a smile, set the table nicely, and ask if you're ready. What would you do if the invitation ever came to you? And more importantly, how sure are you that it hasn't already?